반대 스스로 경화 오사 생겨라 초네 개회 고된다데 망조라 갈롭 같은 낭조.
We would like to invite our chief guest, former Sikyong of the Central Tibetan Administration, Honorable Dr. Lobsang Sangila.
Deisle Tandela has a link as a tabra, but devil like took the water chance. Nazulana Mebuti, Chino was a jam girl chimbucho, Ube, Chugukag Lajanaba, Jabnegin Dugide, and Chidin Soba Soso Ube, Gulenaba, Ani Joe James, Chola Karim, Acha Alexa, the Acha Lee, number Zube, Ani de Sobakaki, Gulen number Mima number Sangmala. 다른 공사초기 구도니모 다시비니모 라 닝탁반에 참지 제스들이 요시와이 달래 구도니모 담살랄 총가 땅낭스레 나둘라 땀상이 중요래 땀상 당보대 가르세나 공사초 공로 야다 쪽섬렐 하 슈기히 세제 땀산 중마디 난사마 가소르게 하고 하지래 니버디 로 춥시는 갈라 난주 상맥이 멸람 잡채 사우르수네 속보네 페네 야나네 로마속이 히말라야 용네 니네 치게 열배 낭봇 상맥이 난주기 소와답채 양식 예벌도 패고도 세주 슈번 낭시 공서초네 가시 상문낭시 군대 주정아바 폐기레 세체 제세 낭시 깔롬낭바데 양아주 땀상 첨부지레 쉬야이 믹세 양시드 데베토네 간덴포랑기 겐시그레 디토라 숙한게 태주 제초고 말에 믹세 야나슈기 태주 제초고 말에 공사초기 양시 인베네야 라마룽벌을 퉁그레 세야디 땀상 직당 아주 렁원해라 가법 최고에 니수 차대열에 쉬어이 다들의 구두니모 아주 공사초기 소체시 까지 삼시에 최고이들이 공사초기 공박하르래 공사초 꿀에 간대 교연래 단다 바로도 공로 주두네 첩시기 겐셰낭셰 공로 니서지글라 나도 롱바 쇼르체 나도 셰수지 여봐 야다나 남 마다나 사레 메베게 내다 데데 차윤도 갈라 공사초게 꿀레 쩐체 단다 바로도 로 둔주린 갈라 잠링 용나라 야갑 독주레니라 페네 꿀레 쩐체 벽에 짜든체도 벽에 댄시 체도 꿀레 쩐다 마저체 단다 배버서 토론토 츠베 잠링 용나라 나도 포와체체 고 캬그니 도토야 최소 투면 넘버서 가둘라 떠라다야 낙저체디 공사조 까딜 때는 중어디 남야 제요 말에 쉬어이 당가족이 제레스기 투바 문진 치고래 잠링네 시대기 대배 문진 치고래 마세 잠링 용나네 공사조라 생다 갸다 납주 담바 피샤야래 디나네 캐네디언게 시티즌십 피요라와 다나시 갸당 압주 피샤바디 잠링 고티 예바낭라 생다 망셔 톱게 공서초 차대래 쉬어이 다나시 로니동 압정월라 좀된데 잠링라 패체 단다 임베이네야 낭바상게베 최디 잠링라 다르베 용바 낭시 군대 줍시바 첨부 초기 차대 잡좀 낭샤바 잘하지요레 디 잠링 낭라 용다 캡체 좀된 대기 낭바상게베 최 단다 파르도 달베 제바 낭시 곤 공서초게 제바틸레디 로갸타네 똥타네야 게 내다디 공서초게 꿀레껴제 차대요레 쉬어이 다데네 소체시 두개 담저시 공서초게 깐낭구고래 담저 당보디 가르래 미인배 차네 니버디 가르래 낭바임베 차네 숨버디 가르래 벼바임베 차네 시버디 가르래 나란덕의 뻔디드임베 차네 공주초기 공바셰당 걸롭낭당 찰레나다 차대 미임베 차네 가르순고아래 미수임베 이내야 둥에 요마레스 데 상마 데바 둥에 짱짱레스 잠링라 시데 둥에 마도 마 둥에 요마레스 디송사 잠링 용나라 시데 공구여나 잠링 용나라 미솔라 데바 공구여나 셈상부 쳐야데레스 창셈 쳐야데레스 닝제 쳐야데레스 디 체바이나 수수 미슬레 데바여레 낭미 낭라 참보여레 지조 낭라 튠데 용그레 잠링 용라 시데 용그레 제제 송샤와디 도게 담자 당부들에 니바 낭바 입에 차네 철루 튠데 고구두스 철루 우티 남바 낭라 최토네 잠링라 마 yap체 미사야 망보 시샤와 룽바 망보 또르샤바 충여레 공서촌에 다디 디기면두스 철루가 낭로라 튠데 제고구두 제제 공서촌 원소랑 카지기 곰바 이슈구 곰바 주이시 곰바 힌두 곰바 라마다 잡아도 제네 우투 낭체 파 구샵 낭체 렘베 낭체 잠리 용나라 최그 우티 되게 상마 튠데 제야도 살렌낭고도 잠링 투무땅규면도 송야디 랍쳔기 지티 힘바 마체 잠링라 World Parliament of Religion 시야디 공사촌 운예바라다 디게게 잠링기 우티 상마 최소직 주체 좀체 로다르시 좀체 단답바도 이내야 철루 우티되게 잠링레 시대 편야 미망라 디기 용야게 꿀레교야디 공사촌에 공부시와 마체 락다르낭체체 잠링레 촉바년다 첨부 운영에디 공사촌 차대요레 쉬야이 다데네 숨버디 베베이베 차네 공사촌의 베베르 슝디 짜첨부레스 먼저 코유 숭겹 최고도 디 태fu 강숨 시버토네 베버스네 간데여르스나 상주여레다스 코나바 3의 숭셰날도와 참잉제 베바 야랍 상주 먼저 나롱오네 유네 메네야 잠링기 따다라 베발라 요르다스 세디 공자초기 먼저기 리슝 짜첨부인스 링슈 닝바인스 링슈 타부인스 제체 숭셰 민방기 이제 체체 잠링 고티기 통대체 베바 시대 가서 융세 찍래 요 말했대 잠링 날 세비 난기 세비 민나네 약셔 착셔 차야디 공서초기 투게 담자 숨버디 잠링 요라 캡체 나주기 짜데 나주기 베데 베난게 베미체도 할레베 투베서버 중요래 지셔야디 다데네 다 공사초라 까디 삼세낭에 이나 공사초 가공시송 나주 낭로라 튠데 제백 해침부래 녹사 직디 제 해침부시다래 나다 쾌 감버래 쾌 의사래 쾌 암도래 말라버체 나주 상마 베바 강제베인스 베바 녹사 직디 지기인스 자도라 냠도 주기 세딩 아주 담자 샤고이디 캐셔셔들에 쉬야이 공사촌의 롭더 수백 갑라인의 최가 시요 말에 곰버 수백 갑라인의 최가 시요 말에 지자 수백 갑라인의 최가 시요 말에 공사촌이 범위 창마 찍버인스 예 과야라 엽시 낭마 소이네야 kuko jami chewe kabla khonzo cho khare sungo arsana kenan so nge nangmi in samche mixe masamlas ngala chowa khai medas nge dadan di kenan so nangmi rete pheba changma da chipo chigyan tagu yo ma do nga nge nangmi da pheba nangmi sendalani yeba chigi medas dende sungge gi ngara so lapche gi uthi cha de yore shuai 다 두개 담제 시베디 나란다 그 뜻두디 시샤베 톤에 잠링레 페구두 셰체 C learning 셰체 단다 Emory University 레시 수여레 레제 니슈 자당 여레 넘버즈 킹그 유메 칸시 룽바 십주 셴일라 롭다 붐치글라 롭투 사야 춥들라 C learning 게 탭디케 니슈 섭실레 줄체 잠링 날레다 롭투 사야 춥드인기 lobda bumchigla lobde loche khongsa chogi kalob dirishas di chena nge semla pensares nge semla pena nga misela pensares cheche dende dharbe chimbo yungyachi uti chigi gen she shaba nangne khongsa chogi si learning gi kyabe chimbo dende 중요 말을 시셔요. 다디 가르치기르스나 룽바 십주 셴니르다 단도 룹주 사야 줍딘데게 마옹바 고티 차바이네야 왕자라 마초영에 밍라 마초영에 미망 데둘 땅에 총바지네야 캡상 코나 라마땅에 케베 여샤바디 레제라 땀야 레가 스웨체 초와 야르게 땅야 게게 임베 이네야 nga 미지 약복게고도 나라 레가 조 마삼바체 룹주다 룹종라 조고 시샤베 람게 중바 이나 게게 약보 총바 약보 고티 약보 중나 랑싱기 잠링라 시대 용사레스 두개 담자 당부 숨디 락달 최고고 여바이나 사베디 쉔게 룹주를 답고도 세체 공부 세바 낭시 차례 낭체 잠링용라 캡투버 중야 딜 때네 공수쇼기 제바틸레 당기 쇼바 낭시레 좀된데 로니 똥압잘라 잠링라 페브레 단단이네야 남바상게베 최 잠링라 달베 용바 낭시 공수쇼기 제바틸레디 로 야타네 똥타네야라 룹두 사야 똥다 줍 사야 줍드윙기 캡베 체투그레 디송자 무튀니네야 덴데 랍체기 지디 여바디 나주 상메 뽀와 최고래 지슈에디 다데네 숭셰낭의 망보체 세나 탑도의 망보체 셀라기 투즈 렌더 갑라 예 시다 슈모고체 이네야 예 인지겐 칙 슈기 인데 타드 나라 이네야 메시디나라 시자 춘주시네 깨체 ngara harvard lob da thwe kabla nga kadin sum du shibi khongza cho kadin te ne thari nga delle de yes pheshung kadin te ne nga delle de yes phame kadin te ne nga delle de yes cheche ngarang ge harvard nal misegi debudi khongza cho uthebe thoni shishayo di songza ngara lochuringal sijon chebe kabla khongza cho kadin sambanashi pheshung kadin sambanashi ngara phamagi lamdön chebanashi ngara sijo cheche khongsacho shabji shue rabade misenala ngara kewa sangshe cheje cheshe kewa chimalleine pheyadi nga shabji shue chuksu samsamdi cheshe yi chi shuedi. Now I'll speak briefly in English so that Joe James and Chola Karim and Acha Alexa and Acha Lee can understand what I was saying, and the donors here. So today we are celebrating His Holiness the Dalai Lama's 19th birthday. We call him the great 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet. In fact, he is the greatest Dalai Lama of Tibet. Because like Buddha, whose teaching had spread across the world, His Holiness has traveled to 62 countries and given 152 awards. He has authored and co-authored 100 books. So his legacy will live on for hundreds and thousands of years, like the Buddha himself. And he talks about 4 commitments. Number 1, as a human being, how you should think and how you should act. Number 2 commitment is, as a Buddhist leader, how one should act. And number 3, as a Tibetan, what he thinks and what he believes. And number 4, as a Pandita or a scholar of Nalanda tradition, how he can help bring peace in the world, not just by talking, but by actually implementing a curriculum. Number 1, as a human being, he says there is no human being who wants suffering. Every human being wants happiness. And there is no human being who wants violence and war. Everybody wants peace. If you want to achieve peace in the world, if you want to be a happy human being, what you must do is learn compassion and kindness. If you do that, if you change within yourself, if you are a kind person, if you are a compassionate person, you change, and the world will change. Now, if you be a compassionate person, what will happen? As a politician will not think about power and position, but they will think about people and service. If you're a businessman, you don't think simply about profit for yourself, but you will think to share profit, create employment, create service, so that you can bring food and shelter to your employees. As a teacher, you would not think simply for your career, but you will think about students and teaching, so that the future generation will become better citizens and go on to serve the world. That is his number one commitment. Number two, he talks about, as a Buddhist leader, what he can do. And so many wars have been fought in the name of religion. Destruction of communities and nations have taken place in the name of religion. He says we should end this. To end this, all the leaders of different faiths should come together, have dialogue, have understanding, emphasize commonality about love, compassion, and kindness. Don't emphasize differences. That way, we can have a religious leader advocating for harmony and not to harm each other. That's why he was a founding member of the World Parliament of Religion. Even today, this body brings spiritual leaders from all over the world, so that as much as possible, you could contribute towards peace and harmony in the world. And number three, as a Tibetan, he says he is a Tibetan, and Tibetan culture is rich, and Tibetan environment is precious, not just for 6 million Tibetans, but for the whole world. Tibetan culture emphasizes humility, kindness. So that's why here in Toronto, all over the world, Tibetan as a brand, as known as peace-loving people. Maybe Tibetans are not as beautiful and as perfect as His Holiness says so, but definitely we all try to be as good, as best as His Holiness describes Tibetan people. And he says the Tibetan culture is so precious. If you talk about Buddhism, there are so many Buddhist countries around the world, but at most they have a dozen or 2 dozen, 3 dozen volumes of what Buddha said. But only in Tibetan language, we have 330 volumes of what Buddha said and his followers said. If you talk about Buddhism, the best kept literature on Buddhism is in Tibetan language. To preserve Tibetan culture, to preserve Tibetan literature, means to preserve Buddha's teaching. I think monks are clapping here. They agree with that. And as far as environment is concerned, Tibet's environment is called roof of the world. It's more precious than ever. Today we feel the heat in this room because of global warming. But we all talk about the first and the second pole. Arctic and Antarctica are popular all over the world. But one can make an argument. The third pole, Tibet, is more important than the first and the second pole, because when the glaciers and the snow in the first and the second pole melt, it goes to ocean. It becomes salt water. It's not drinkable. But 40,000 glaciers of Tibet, when they melt, it becomes streams, it becomes rivers, and it becomes a life-saving for 1.4 billion people in that part of the world. Now, if you preserve Tibet's environment, the mountains and the plateaus and the glaciers, what will happen? By 2050, it is projected that there will be 10 billion people, of which 5.67 billion people will be in Asia, of which 60% will live in urban areas. What do they want? Water. And where is the water? It's in Tibet. to preserve Tibet's environment, Tibetan plateau. It's in the interest of Asian people and also the world. Scientists say the jet stream over Tibet affects the climate right here in Canada. So if you're feeling warm, because Tibetan glaciers are melting very fast, if we prevent Tibetan glaciers from melting fast, we will have a cooler Canada in summer. Maybe a warmer Canada in winter is the jet stream that we are talking about. So that's why Tibet's environment is very important to preserve Tibetan culture. Tibet's environment is in the interest of the whole world, particularly even the Chinese say so. Chinese scientists say we should declare Tibetan Plateau as the national park because from there we get our water. Tibetan Plateau saves us. That's what even Chinese scientists are saying so. This is good. I hope the Chinese leaders will realize this and preserve Tibetan culture and preserve and protect Tibet's environment. The fourth commitment is about Nalanda tradition. This is again the first three commitments to teach compassion and kindness among the children. He says jokingly, elderly people, you can't change their mind. He has traveled all over the world. He tried his best. He has almost given up. They are too stubborn. They think black and white. They don't change your mind. But the best way to change the world is to change and inculcate compassion and kindness among children. So he initiated C learning, social emotional intelligence-based learning curriculum now. The curriculum is taught in 42 countries. 100,000 schools are teaching this curriculum. 17 million students are learning about the key essence of His Holiness Dalai Lama's teaching, that every human being wants happiness, no one wants suffering, every human being wants peace, no one wants war. If you don't want that, the 17 million children around the world, in 24 countries, it's 42 countries, are coming up to lead the world so that we will have politicians who are not for power or position, but for people and service. We will have 17 million business people who will not fight for their own profit, but to share profit and share wealth and generate employment and livelihood for millions of people around the world. So we'll have teachers, we'll have people who will be kind-hearted and nice to each other. As His Holiness and Buddha says, if you cannot create happiness among other people, don't cause harm. It's a simple rule. That's what His Holiness is. So we are very proud that we are celebrating His Holiness' 90th birthday. We pray that he will live very long. And recently he announced that he is going to live beyond 100 years. We are elated. He announced that the reincarnation of 14th Dalai Lama will come and the institution of Dalai Lama will continue, not just for the sake of 6 million Tibetans, not just for the sake of Buddhists around the world, but to bring peace, non-violence, compassion and kindness in the world. Like Buddha came 2,500 years ago, we see His Holiness Dalai Lama as the manifestation of Buddha compassion. His legacy will live on for hundreds and thousands of years. We all are celebrating, but we all should embrace his teaching, his thinking, and continue his legacy. May His Holiness live long. May His Holiness Dalai Lama return to Tibet, be with 6 million Tibetans sooner than later. That is our prayer. That is our wish. And hopefully, sooner than later, we all will celebrate next birthday of His Holiness in Free Tibet. Pheu Gyalo. Thank you.